The sentence, hook and suspense start. The grand hall was silent. Cold pillars stretched into the sky, glowing with golden lines. Rows of alien nobles sat in stone seats, their eyes fixed on one figure in the center. Princess Alira. She stood tall, her long silver hair falling down her back, her violet skin glowing under the judgment lights. But her expression was sharp, defiant. She did not look sorry. An elder rose from his seat. His voice echoed through the hall. Alira of the Varnath bloodline, you are guilty of breaking the peace treaty with Earth. You destroyed the alliance with your attack. You disobeyed your people. For this, your punishment shall be marriage. Gasps filled the chamber. Alira's lips parted in shock. Marriage, she shouted. To a human, yes, the elder said calmly. To a human warrior, a punishment fitting your pride. Alira laughed, cold and bitter. You would chain me to one of their beasts. You will marry him. The elder said, you will live with him, learn their way, and only then will you understand why we sought peace. She opened her mouth to argue again, but for guards stepped forward. Her fists tightened. She was a trained fighter. She could take 2, maybe 3, but not 4. Not here, not now. They dragged her out of the chamber. The door slammed shut behind her. Hours passed. Alira now sat in a small room on a Terran starship. Her wrists were unchained, but the silence felt heavier than any prison. Suddenly, the door hissed open. She stood quickly. A tall figure stepped in. Rain, the human she was ordered to marry. He was built like a mountain. His armor was scratched, worn from battle. His jaw was strong, his eyes calm but tired. He didn't smile. Princess Alira, he said simply. I'm Rain. Orders say we're to marry. She didn't answer. I didn't ask for this, he added. Neither did I, she snapped. There was silence between them. Then Rain nodded toward a second bed in the corner. I won't touch you. We share a room, nothing else. You'll be safe here, that's all. He turned to leave, but paused. One more thing, he said. Don't try to run. This ship is locked down, and trust me, you don't want to be out there alone. Alira glared at him. She was used to threats, but this one wasn't cruel. It was a warning, a strange kind of care. The door closed behind him. Later that night, she sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the stars outside the window. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from fear but from the unknown. She remembered the stories her people told, that humans were wild, primitive, dangerous. But Rain was quiet, controlled, not what she expected. She whispered to herself, what kind of punishment is this, if he won't even look at me? The next morning, the wedding was done in less than 2 minutes. A holographic judge appeared, spoke the words. Alira barely listened. Rain stood beside her. His voice didn't shake when he said I do, neither did hers. No cheers, no music, just silence. They were now husband and wife, bound by law, by force. Afterward, she returned to their quarters. He followed quietly, like a ghost. Then, he did something strange. He rolled up a blanket, placed it on the floor beside the bed, and laid down. Alira stared at him in disbelief. You sleep there? She asked. He didn't open his eyes. Yes, but you could. I told you, I won't touch you unless you ask. That made her chest tighten, not because of fear, but something else. Control, restraint, respect. Things she was never taught to expect from a human. That night, she lay awake, watching him breathe, listening to the quiet hum of the ship. And for the first time, she wondered, who is this man they forced into my life? The warrior who doesn't command. Days passed. Alira tried to stay distant. But Rain didn't act like a conqueror, or a husband, or a jailer. He followed a quiet routine. He woke early, trained in silence, ate alone, then helped repair systems around the ship. He never questioned her, never looked at her too long. He only nodded politely and left her to her space. Alira, once a proud warrior princess, now found herself watching him more than she wanted to admit. He was strong but not loud. Fast but never careless, and most strange of all kind. On the 5th day, she finally asked, why do you follow the rules of this punishment so strictly? You could command me. The law says I'm yours. Rain, sitting at the edge of the table, looked up from his ration pack. His eyes were calm, but serious. I don't want a wife who hates me. She blinked. I didn't choose you. And you didn't choose me, but that doesn't mean I'll treat you like a prisoner, he said. I'm not cruel, Alira. I'm just a soldier who lost too many battles. And I don't believe in forcing anything, not even trust. His words were simple, but they struck something deep inside her. Later that night, she walked into the training bay. He was there, his shirt off, sweat running down his back, muscles tense from hours of sword practice. She watched him from the doorway for a moment before stepping forward. Teach me, she said. Rain paused. Sword, no, human style. I want to learn how you fight. I want to understand how your people won wars we never thought you'd survive. He looked at her for a second, then gave a single nod. They began slow, step by step. Her balance was good, but his techniques were different, more grounded, more direct. He corrected her form gently. Their hands brushed. She pulled back. He stepped Away without a word, the tension between them was growing, but it wasn't anger. It was something neither of them understood yet. In the days that followed, they trained more often. Sometimes they sparred. Sometimes they talked just a little. She told him about her homeworld, the mountain gardens, the fire moons. He told her about Earth, about the oceans and the cold cities. She listened more than she admitted, and she noticed the pain behind his voice when he mentioned his brother who never came back from the last war. Rain didn't talk much about the past, but when he did, it was honest. One morning, she found him standing at the ship's window, staring into space. His jaw was tight. "What is it?" she asked softly. "A distress signal," he said, "near the outer zone. Pirate territory." Alira's eyes narrowed. "Are we responding?" Rain shook his head. "Orders say ignore it, but it's a civilian transport. Could be children on board." She stepped beside him. "Then let's go." He turned. Surprised. "You'd help?" "I'm not your enemy anymore," she said, "and I don't leave the weak to die." For the first time, he smiled. It wasn't wide, it wasn't perfect, but it was real. That night, as they prepared to jump into dangerous space, she turned to him. "Why don't you ever touch me?" she asked quietly. Rain looked at her. His voice was low, firm. "Because I want you to choose, not because of a sentence, not because of duty, but because you trust me." Alira didn't reply right away, but in her chest, something new stirred, warmth, respect, and a strange feeling she hadn't known before, safety. Her walls began to crack. The stars outside looked like fireflies dancing in the dark. But inside the Terran ship, the air was heavy with silence. Rain sat in the cockpit, hands gripping the controls. Ahead of them, a weak signal blinked. A stranded civilian vessel drifting near the edge of pirate space. Alira stood behind him, arms crossed. She watched his face, not the stars. "You still haven't received permission to help, have you?" she asked. Rain shook his head. "Command said, not our mission." Alira stepped forward. "So what will you do?" Rain looked at her. "We're going anyway." She smiled, not cold, not cruel, real. "I thought humans were ruled by orders," she said. "We are," Rain replied, "but we don't ignore people who are begging for help." Alira whispered, "Then maybe you're more royal than I am." The enemy ship was already nearby. Its sleek, black, silent. Pirates. Ray empowered down his ship's lights. "We'll get close using the asteroid cover. Quiet, fast. Get the civilians out before the pirates know we're here." Alira touched his arm. "You're not doing this alone." Rain looked at her. Really looked. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then he nodded. They moved together like one unit. Alira led the infiltration, swift, graceful, and silent. Her royal training made her glide like a shadow. Rain followed with military precision, watching corners, checking their backs. Inside the broken civilian ship, they found a group of injured travelers. A mother, a child, an old man who couldn't walk. Alira knelt beside the girl. "She's burning with fever," she said softly. Rain took off his cloak and wrapped it around the child. "You get them to the shuttle," he told her. "I'll hold off the pirates." Alira stood. "No, I fight with you." Rain opened his mouth to argue, but she cut him off. "I'm not a sentence. I'm a warrior. I fight for what I choose." The battle in the corridor was fast and brutal. Rain fired with sharp aim. Alira danced through the smoke like lightning, striking with blade and fire. One pirate grabbed her from behind. Rain was there in seconds, slamming the enemy to the wall. They stood back to back, panting. Blood, smoke, silence. Then Alira looked at him. Her chest rose and fell. Her hand reached out slowly. She touched his face lightly, gently. "I never knew humans could be like this," she said. He didn't move. "I don't understand why you make me feel this way," she whispered. Rain's voice was low. "Then ask me." She stepped closer. "I don't hate you anymore," she said. "That scares me." Rain didn't answer with words. Instead, he placed his hand over hers, warm, still, steady. And for the first time, she didn't pull away. Later, back on their ship, the civilians were safe and sleeping. Rain stood near the door. Alira walked up behind him. Her voice was quiet but certain. "Do you know what I've learned?" He turned to her. "That strength isn't always loud," she said. "That kindness isn't weakness. That punishment can sometimes become choice." Rain looked at her for a long moment. "Are you choosing now?" he asked. Alira nodded. "I choose to stay." And in that moment, something inside her broke. Not with pain, but with peace. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a weapon. She felt wanted. The mission that changed everything. A storm of solar wind shook the ship. Warning lights blinked across the control panel outside the window. A plasma storm raged in violet and gold, tearing through space like fire across a black ocean. Rain's voice was calm but urgent. "The engine's unstable. If we stay in this system, we're going to be torn apart." Alira stood beside him, gripping the seat for balance. "Then land anywhere. There's a moon below." he said. Thin atmosphere, no beacon, might be habitable, might, she repeated. He gave a dry smile. Only one way to find out. The ship hit the moon's surface hard, metal groaned, lights went dark. When silence returned, Alira opened her eyes, dust floated in the cabin. Sparks crackled from the ceiling. She turned to Rain. Are you? I'm fine, he stood slowly. Then winced and grabbed his ribs. Mostly, you're injured. I've had worse. Alira walked to him, her face unreadable. You're not allowed to die. Rain chuckled. Didn't know I needed permission. She looked down, biting her lip. Then she whispered, you do, mine. They stepped outside into a world of red skies and stone cliffs. Wind howled low, and strange purple plants glowed faintly across the rocky ground. We'll have to find shelter, Rain said. There's enough air here, but not for long. They walked together toward the cliffs, the heat from the storm fading behind them. As they climbed over rocks, Alira slipped on loose gravel. Rain caught her wrist. For a moment, they were face to face, close, breathless. She didn't move away. His voice dropped low. You okay? She nodded. I think I like it better when you catch me. He let go slowly. Neither spoke for a long time. By evening, they found an empty cave with dry stone and heat vents from below. Rain set up a portable fire unit. Alira sat across from him, watching the flames flicker on his face. His armor was torn. Blood stained his sleeve. You're hurt worse than you said, she said. He shrugged. Pain keeps me awake. You could have let me go when they gave me to you, she said suddenly. I thought about it. Then why didn't you? Rain looked into the fire. Because when I saw your eyes, you looked like someone who'd been thrown away, just like me. Alira swallowed hard. She moved closer. Then whispered, no one has ever spoken to me like that. Rain didn't answer. He didn't need to. Outside, the storm cracked the sky open. Inside, they sat in quiet. Alira leaned her head against his shoulder. She had spent her life behind walls of pride, of duty, of fear, but now, in this quiet cave, beside a man she once called her punishment, she felt warm, real, alive. Later that night, she reached out and took his hand. His skin was rough, calloused, but when his fingers curled around hers, she trembled, not from fear, but because, for the first time, she had chosen it. She whispered, do you still believe I was forced on you? Rain turned to her. No, he said quietly. Now I believe you were sent to save me. She touched his face, her voice barely a breath. I don't want you to hold back anymore. He leaned in slowly. And when they kissed, it wasn't fire. It was peace, a promise without words, a choice without chains. The next morning, the storm cleared, and so did everything between them. They were no longer strangers. No longer bound by law or punishment. They were bound by something far stronger: choice. The rescue in the rift. The sky was quiet when the rescue beacon reached their position. A Terran patrol ship entered orbit the next morning, scanning the area, landing with precision. Relief swept across Rain's tired face. The storm was behind them, but for Alira, something else was coming. The moment they stepped onto the rescue ship, the message was waiting. By order of the Varnath High Council, Alira is to return immediately for reassessment of her punishment terms. No greeting, no warmth. Only command. Rain looked at her. What do you want to do? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stared out the window as the planet below grew smaller, fading into distance. Back on the Varnath homeworld, the council chamber was colder than she remembered. Alira stood tall in the center again, but this time, not alone. Rain stood beside her in full Terran uniform, calm and silent. The High Elder raised his voice. We allowed this union as punishment. It was not meant for attachment. Now you returned changed. Alira nodded. Yes, I am changed. The Elder narrowed his eyes. Then we may consider annulment. Free you from the sentence. Return you to your place in bound. Rain shifted slightly. Alira's heart pounded. She could speak now. End it. Walk away. Be royal again. Safe. But she looked at Rain. He didn't plead, didn't speak. He would let her choose. That was what made it real. Alira turned back to the council. Her voice was steady. No. The hall fell silent. I do not wish to end the bond, because it's no longer a punishment. It's my decision. The elder stirred. You stand here defiant again. One hissed. No, she replied. I stand here free. You gave me to him to humble me, but he didn't break me. He taught me what power really is. She reached out and took Rain's hand in full view of the chamber. Power is choosing someone not because of duty, but because of love. Rain blinked. It was the first time she had used that word, and she meant it. After the hearing, they walked together through the long corridors of the city. Rain broke the silence first. You didn't have to say it like that. I did, Alira said, because I knew you wouldn't. He smiled faintly. Did you mean it? She stopped walking, faced him. I meant every word. Then, softly, she added, you don't have to keep calling me princess. Rain tilted his head. Then what should I call you? She smiled, teasing. Your wife. That evening, her family tried to visit. Her old friends sent formal messages, but Alira ignored them. She sat instead at the balcony of their temporary suite, feet curled under her, head resting against Rain's shoulder. Below them, the city lights blinked. So what now? He asked. She replied quietly, now, I stay where I belong, with your people. She shook her head. With you, but far above, deep in the shadows of orbit, not everyone was happy. Inside a cloaked Varnath warship, a dark figure stood. Before a screen showing the hearing replay, she chooses him now, the voice whispered, we must act. Another responded, if she binds herself to Earth fully, we lose leverage. She's a symbol, we can't let this spread. The order was given, separate them. Or destroy the symbol. Back on the surface, Alira and Rain knew nothing of what was coming. They only knew that for the first time in both their lives someone had chosen to stay, not because of duty but because they didn't want to let go. The fight for their future. The night was calm. To calm. Rain felt at first a sharp silence on the Terran base's sensors, no incoming calls, no beacon pings. Even the stars seemed still. He stood on the balcony of their room, watching the sky. Behind him, Alira slept, peaceful for once. Her face was softer now, her walls had fallen. And she was finally free, but peace never lasted long, not for people like them. The first blast came just after sunrise, a roar shattered the clouds. Explosions tore across the landing fields, fire bloomed near the west hangar, sirens screamed. Rain was already moving before the second blast hit. Alira, get up, he shouted. She woke instantly, grabbing the blade he'd given her days ago. What's happening? They've come, not pirates. Not criminals, your people. Alira's eyes widened. No, they wouldn't, they would, he said. They want to erase the choice you made. In the control room, reports flew in fast. Varnath Royal Enforcers, the officer said, cloaked ships, targeting only her location and anyone protecting her. Rain grabbed a rifle. Then we hold the line. Alira stood tall beside him. I'm coming to. No. Rain said, they're after you. You're not. She cut him off. I'm not leaving, not again. You didn't run when they gave me to you. I won't run now. He looked at her. Not a princess, not a sentence, a partner. He nodded once. Then we fight. The battle was brutal. Elite alien soldiers dropped from the sky in black armor, weapons glowing with plasma blades. They moved like shadows, fast, silent, deadly, but Rain and Alira were faster. She moved through them like wind, striking with deadly grace. Rain fought with the force of a war machine, defending their retreat line inch by inch. Blood, smoke, cries. One of the enforcers cornered Alira alone in the courtyard. He was taller than her, stronger, and his voice was cold. You were never meant to bond with him. You're not one of them. She raised her blade. I'm not one of you either. He charged. She met him midair, blade crashing against blade. It wasn't duty that gave her strength. It was love. Rain found her minutes later, standing over the fallen soldier, chest rising and falling. I'm fine, she said. He stepped forward and took her hand. I know. The ground shook again. A missile hit the main building. The structure cracked. Debris fell. Rain shoved her aside just as a support beam crashed behind him. He winced, blood running down his leg. Alira dropped beside him. No, Rain, stay with me. I'm here. He whispered, I'm not going anywhere. She pressed her forehead against his. You can't die. You can't leave me. You're mine now. His voice was soft, always was. Reinforcements finally arrived. Terran air patrols and defense drones pushing back the last wave. The Varnath attackers fled. Defeated. But the message was clear. This was never about war. It was about control, and Alira had broken free. With him, together, they had made their stand later. Rain lay in the medbay, bandaged but smiling. Alira sat beside him, refusing to move. A diplomat entered. The council wants peace again. They claimed the attack was unauthorized. Rain didn't answer. Alira did. Tell them next time they try to take what I chose, they'll face both of us. She took Rain's hand, held it tight. I don't care about titles anymore, she said. You're not just my bond, you're my reason, he whispered, and you're mine. Now she won't let him go. The war was over, or so the galaxy believed. The Varnath Council issued formal apologies. They claimed the attack was unauthorized. A rogue faction, they said. But Alira knew better. They had tried to erase her choice, silence her loyalty, break what she had built, and they had failed. Weeks passed. Rain's wounds healed slowly. Alira remained by his side every day, never missing a meal, never leaving his hand untouched. She joked that she'd become his battle nurse, though. Her voice always softened when she said it. One afternoon, while he slept, she sat near the window of the Terran Recovery Center. Outside, the twin suns rose over the training field. Young recruits trained, shouting, laughing. Alira smiled softly. This world so rough, so strange had become her home, not because of comfort, but because he was in it. Later that evening, Rain stood on his feet again. His limp was light, his movements Slower but steady, they walked side by side across the garden outside the base. She wore a dark blue cloak over her traditional armor. He had no weapons on his belt, for once. They were just two people. Not a sentence, not a guard, not a warrior and a royal. Just them. You still don't regret this? She asked. Rain glanced at her. Regret what? Taking me in, fighting for me, letting me stay. He stopped walking. I don't regret a second of it, he said. Even the hardest parts made me see who you really are. She looked away. Blinking, I was raised to use power, but you taught me to choose it, he smiled. And you taught me that love isn't weakness, it's survival. A small ceremony was held the following week. No crowds, no grand robes. Just a circle of friends, humans and aliens, officers and diplomats, allies who had fought beside them. Alira and Rain stood before a simple stone arch, carved with both Terran and Varnith symbols. She wore a sleeveless white outfit with golden patterns across her arms. He wore clean, dark, formal gear, a small Terran crest over his chest. They spoke only one vow each. Alira looked into his eyes and said, I was given to you as punishment. I now choose you as my freedom. Rain replied, I was told to protect you, but I now live to stand beside you. They kissed under the sunset. There were no chains between them, only choice, only love. That night, back in their room, Alira watched him remove his armor piece by piece. She walked up behind him, gently wrapping her arms around his waist. You know what's different now, she whispered. He turned slightly. What? I used to flinch when I was touched, now I crave yours, he smiled. I never wanted to take anything from you, and now, she said, leaning closer, you don't have to. I give you everything freely. He pulled her into his arms. No walls remained. No fear. No duty. Only the sound of their breathing. The warmth of their skin, the quiet peace of knowing this was forever. In the years that followed, they traveled to distant worlds. Together. Not as symbols. Not as weapons, but as to people who had earned each other's love in fire and silence. And in war, wherever they went, people would whisper about the human and the alien princess who never let go of each other. And they were right. Because Alira had once been forced to marry a human warrior, and now she would never let him go.